China's Victory Day Parade, held annually on the 3rd of September, commemorates the end of World War II and highlights the country's military might and pride. In recent years, these parades have become a platform for showcasing cutting-edge military hardware and advancements, reflecting China's growing status as a global power. Let's talk more about this now with University of Johannesburg's Research Director at the Center for China-Africa Studies, Dr. Emmanuel Matambo. A very good afternoon to you, Doc. Thanks very much for your time. A spectacle it was.
Indeed, Vuyo, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. It was indeed a military show of force on the part of China. But apart from the hardware, the impressive hardware, I must say, that we saw on display there, what was more important was what was on the rostrum, looking at the alliance of leaders that were there, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and Kim Jong-un. I think that was just as much important as the strides that China has made in its military technologies.
What, and a lot of people have been saying this, that if you look at the leaders who were there, certainly a message is being communicated beyond merely displaying China's military might and power.
Yes, indeed. Since the return of President Donald Trump to the White House in January of 2025, we have seen that the United States has been quite an erratic partner, very unpredictable when it comes to trade relationships, not only with its historical rivals and competitors, but even with traditional allies such as the European Union and Canada. So it seems that there is a vacuum, so to say, that is opening up for possibilities of leaders that are of the non-Western provenance to come and step into that particular breach. And then it is also not lost on me the fact that during his address yesterday, President Xi Jinping spoke about Cold War rivalries that have not been consigned yet to history. That in itself revives the idea that even today the world is, so to say, being forced by the United States to pick sides. And from how Donald Trump has been antagonizing even the traditional allies, no one would really be left guessing what exactly the message was that President Xi Jinping was trying to put across.
Speaking of Donald Trump, he has made no secret of the fact that he is worried, perhaps that's putting it mildly, maybe I should say dislike of the BRICS countries and their allies, of which, of course, China, India are part. What then does that mean, especially on the back of the tariffs we've seen, the pronouncements he has made about South Africa? What is this telling us about where the world could be going and America's place in that world?
BRICS countries and non-Western countries in general here have to be very calculating in how exactly they navigate the current international system for two reasons. The first reason, the first option, that they have two options on that. The first option is that do they just wait out a Donald Trump presidency that will peter out in 4 years' time? That's if it will peter out, because from what we have been getting as well from the United States, we are not really certain about that. Or do they look at a long-term do they look at a long-term plan, a plan that will try to wean off the world from dependency on the United States and its currency, the dollar? Donald Trump is an economic nationalist, so his antagonism to the BRICS has been quite expected, because the BRICS is being seen, so to say, as this herald of an alternative international system, one that is not being led by the United States of America. And speaking about the military parade and linking it to what you have just asked me right now, we could also link what has been happening to what happened at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, wherein another bank, another development bank was proposed. So if you look at the new development bank by the BRICS countries, the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, and now the proposed Shanghai Cooperation Organization Development Bank. This combination here could rival the World Bank and the IMF, and with that as well, they could rival American dominance in global affairs when it comes to economics. So those are just the options that the world has at the moment.
But is really, or are people or countries really waiting for a Trump to exit the stage, or are they doing what they feel is long overdue, is something that ought to have been done a long time ago, only that Trump has tended to hasten things? I'm asking this because a few days ago, when there were rumors of him being sick, and others even went as far as saying he had died, when there were debates around Vice President J.D. Vance, a lot of people were saying, actually, he's not very different from Donald Trump. And then other people took that, went even further to say, in fact, there is very little difference between American presidents, only that a Donald Trump, may have been a lot more crassy, perhaps, than anyone who has ever come before him.
When you look at the United States and its foreign policy, there have been a lot of consistencies. The call for the rest of the world to kind of reduce its dependence on the United States has preceded Donald Trump. That has been happening, and it kicked into higher gear, so to say, after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. So those calls to lessen dependence on the United States have been happening. When it comes to consistencies in terms of the United States and its foreign policy, those again are very, very noticeable in Donald Trump. What Donald Trump brings to the fore is just what you have said. You use the word crass. Yes, Donald Trump has been very crude. He has been very outspoken about some of the instincts that inform the United States foreign policy. When it comes to issues such as trying to make sure that it keeps China down, that has been happening. It's a long-standing American foreign policy. Its rivalry against Russia is well known. It engineered Russia's exit from the Group of Eight in 2014 after Russia occupied the Crimean Peninsula. So those things that actually have been consistencies in terms of the United States. What is worrying at the moment, Vuyo, is in terms of the damage that would have been done, especially in terms of global supply chains, in the 4 years that Donald Trump will be president. So that is why that have the cause, so to say, to finding alternative in terms of supply chains, so that the countries could stave off the damaging effects of tariffs that are kind of predictably and erratically imposed on countries. Those have been kicked into high gear, so to say. But American behavior and the rest of the world's discomfiture with that kind of behavior are long-standing traditions in global politics.
What do you think would have been going on in the mind of whoever hopes to take over from Donald Trump? In other words, what would they have read, not only what they would have read from the visuals we've been seeing, but what they must be thinking of now going forward?
When talking about what they would have seen yesterday from the military optics here, we should look at China's foreign policy and its military display yesterday first of all, from the domestic front. It's sending a message to Taiwan, and it's also sending a message to suzerainty over the South China Sea. So that is what a lot of people should interpret from the domestic front regarding that military parade. When it comes to people who probably have to succeed Donald Trump, I think one of the most immediate things to do, if someone were to be in Trump's shoes in the White House, would be to repair the damaged relationships that America has at the moment with traditional allies. Because historically, America has always called upon its NATO allies. It has always called upon the European Union. It has always called upon Canada to give it political and ideological support, to say something which is very much in lacking, and it might translate in the future in the rest of the world trying to find other supply chains, so to say, trying to rely on American competitors, even when it comes to in international alliances, and that could be damaging to America's own moral authority and to a place of prominence to which it has been accustomed since the end of the Second World War.
And to those who look up to China, whether as an ally or as a big brother, what should be going on in their minds? What should they be thinking about, especially given where China has come from to where it is today?
China has always been very reluctant to present itself as a superpower, even if history, its demographics, and its economics show the other way. It has always presented itself as a historical partner of what was previously called the Third World. So when it comes to leaders that have been put under tremendous Western duress. These are countries such as Russia and India, by the way, which was an ally, a close ally of America in the first Trump installment. These are countries that will probably look to China as an alternative source for trade relations that have been badly damaged with the United States. And the rest of the world as well that feel to have been feel aggrieved by Donald Trump's unpredictable behavior. Those who probably look up to China, not its political system. Its political system maybe amongst the elite, but amongst ordinary Africans, for example, who look to China as a source of trade, a source to which and a destination to which we can send most of our exports that we had hitherto been sending to the United States.
University of Johannesburg's Research Director at the Center for Africa-China Studies, Dr. Emmanuel Matambo, on, of course, those spectacular visuals we saw yesterday on display, but it wasn't, as you said, you heard from him, it wasn't just about the advanced weaponry, but China showing its might and power of course, in the midst of all that's happening in the world today.